Hey there, amazing listeners. Welcome to Family, Business, and Beyond. I'm Deborah Kane, and if you're a mom trying to juggle everything from diaper changes to business meetings, or someone just looking for a bit of joy and inspiration, you've found your new favorite podcast. Here, we talk about everything from launching your dream business to finding joys in family chaos, all while having a few laughs along the way. Each episode is packed with real stories, practical tips, lots of science, and a sprinkle of the unexpected to keep you hooked from start to finish. Ready to transform your life and have some fun? Let's get started. Hey there, amazing listeners. Welcome to Family, Business, and Beyond. I'm Deborah Kane, and if you're a mom trying to juggle everything from diaper changes to business meetings, or someone just looking for a bit of joy and inspiration, you've found your new favorite podcast. Here, we talk about everything from launching your dream business to finding joys in family chaos, all while having a few laughs along the way. Each episode is packed with real stories, practical tips, lots of science, and a sprinkle of the unexpected to keep you hooked from start to finish. Ready to transform your life and have some fun? Let's get started. Welcome, everyone. If you've been around me for a while, you've most likely heard me talk about emotional intelligence and AI, with a lot of other things. Today, I'm talking to an expert known as the AI Whisperer. And we're going to discuss how emotional intelligence and AI can work together in both your business and personal life. So get ready for what could be a wake-up call to many of you. Our guest today is Miss Kathy Basel, the AI Whisperer. She empowers on-purpose solopreneurs to create magnetic marketing messaging using AI. She does this so they can be authentically visible and attract more ideal clients. With over 20 years of marketing expertise and a background as a transformational coach, Kathy guides clients to craft purpose-led messaging that connects and converts while saving them countless hours. This allows them to focus on what they truly love, transforming lives. Kathy, welcome.
Thank you so much. Love the opportunity to share with your audience here.
I am excited because we have a lot to talk about, and it sounds like we actually do a lot of things that are very similar.
Yeah, I think emotional intelligence is one of the differentiators. I think it's so important for everyone these days to be able to connect in deeper ways. And I just love all the synergies between your work and mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get to any questions, can you explain to the listeners what you mean by on-purpose solopreneur?
Yeah, so on purpose. So I believe consciousness is rising. I believe that the businesses that do really right now are going to be those that really have that kind-hearted, that go-giver kind of attitude towards serving their clients. I believe that a lot of us go into business and then we get caught up in the busyness part of it. And it's really important for us to put the pause button on and make sure that we're reconnecting with the reason why we went into the business that we did. When I say on purpose, your business can be an expression of what you're here to do. What's the change you want to see in the world? What is your purpose in life? And how does your business connect with that? And it's actually the key to really great marketing, because people, you probably heard that saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And
Exactly.
So that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. Okay, so let me get right to my first question for you. And that is, you work at a crossroads of intuition and innovation. You do healing and AI. So what was your sort of aha moment that made you realize that these two really opposite things, worlds, so to speak, would work together, especially to support entrepreneurs?
Yeah. And trust me, I was a big skeptic for a long time. ChatGPT came out around November of 23, and I resisted it for quite some time. But my background is actually in marketing. You mentioned that I had 20 years in branding and marketing, advertising, that kind of world. when I got calling myself to become a transformational life coach. And so I was in that world, kind of the girl, and helping people do emotional release work. And that's why the emotional intelligence, I think, is so key to us living that vibrant life that we're meant to know, the intelligence that comes from understanding our feelings, our thoughts, and the emotions behind them that are creating our world. It's creating how our body's showing up, how our world is showing up. So I was loving that kind of work for 6 or 7 years. And even with my marketing background, I found it hard to articulate the nature of the transformation that we bring, because a lot of people don't know, they don't understand what energy work is or just healing in general. And even the term life coach is something that a lot of people are not familiar with. Articulating that is really key. And so I was getting better over time. I've been doing it 7 years. But when I heard about ChatGPT, and again, I was like, no, how could it possibly capture the nature of the work that I do? It's on person to person. I'm all about relationship and connection and these deeper kind of conversations. But finally, the buzz just kept buzzing. So I dropped my own messaging into ChatGPT. And when I saw how deeply it articulated what I was doing, better than I had even myself, that, like you said, it was my eureka moment of I can now combine these two things and really help the solopreneurs of the world, the ones that are doing wonderful transformational work. And that can be, you can be an accountant, you can be working with someone who's an IRS tax auditor that's starting a business. And so it doesn't matter the nature of your business, it matters the heart from which you come from. And yeah, so when I saw how I can take my years of experience and how to brand and communicate to attract clients properly in a way that feels natural, that's the other thing. I think a lot of us go into business and, face it, we don't like the sales process. How can we make this a natural expression of who we are? And ironically, this robot can really be what cracks the code to help you land the messaging that's going to attract your clients.
Exactly. That's very well said, very well explained to make it really clear for our listeners. What would you say for moms who are maybe emotionally attuned, I'll say, but not so tech savvy? Where do you think, or where would you suggest they start with AI?
Quite honestly, I would start by playing with it. And the cool part is you don't have to be tech savvy at all. So ChatGPT is the one that I personally choose to work with because it can do so many different things. I believe just pick one. There's lots of different tools out there, different writing tools. ChatGPT to me has some capabilities that the others don't, that I use, like being able to upload documents. So I would say just start playing with it. So even if you're not going to use it for your business, start using it. It's going to ultimately infiltrate and elevate really all aspects of our life. So if I were to look at the things that I've used it for lately, I used it for outlining a meal plan for myself. I want to eat Mediterranean. I want to shed a little bit for summertime. I used it for all kinds of marketing things, of course, but you can use it. I was talking to it. And this is the thing, like ChatGPT, just chat to it like it's your best friend or your sister that you're chatting with. There is no perfect prompt. At the beginning, things have evolved. It keeps getting better and better, more intuitive, more understanding of this emotional resonance that we're talking about here. And honestly, you'll be surprised how quickly it begins to understand who you are, what you're about, what you value. But honestly, I would open up just like you're meeting somebody at a party and just let it know a little bit about you. And the best thing, if you're trying to get good output out of it, I would say the more context you can give it, the better, because it is able to draw from all the information on the internet. So if you want it to act as I'm going to pick on myself again, as my fitness trainer or my my nutritionist, my holistic nutritionist, give it that perspective of, I want you to be not just a nutritionist, but a holistic nutritionist. And I tell it, I like Mediterranean, I like Indian, I like these. That's my inspired thing. I love vegetable heavy dishes. And this is the time I like to. So paint the whole picture of what it is that you're working on, and then just start chatting with it. And you'll be amazed at how quickly it'll actually start asking you additional questions. and it learns who you are over time. So it gets better and better at what it does. So play first and see where it leads you.
I can definitely attest to everything you just said is exactly the truth. I have noticed that AI, even within the last few months, has substantially gotten so much better. It started out where it mattered what you put in. The prompt had to be a certain way, or it wasn't giving you a lot. And you had to do a lot of back and forth. And don't get me wrong, I still go back and forth with it a lot today. But the difference is it's at least 10 times better than it used to be. And even if you're using it every day, like I do, you can see clearly that the increase has been, it's jumped in how it works with you. That alone should get people thinking. You don't need this just for business. You do need it for business. But what about moms or anybody who is not doing it for business? Like you said, you're a fitness trainer. We're not trying to get rid of jobs out there. There's a lot of times, especially for moms, you don't have the time to go to the gym, or maybe you don't have the finances to do all of these different things. This is something that you can do completely free. You don't have to pay for the pro version in the beginning, and you can get so much done from it, and it doesn't take a lot. I will say, people, I'm gonna pause there because I have a question later on about resistance. So we're gonna pause and go on because I don't want to jump ahead.
I know there's so many different directions we can go with this. It really is life changing, and just get on the bandwagon is all I can say.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. Okay. There you go. You said that AI can help us stay in our zone of genius. I love that, by the way. Can you share a couple of practical ways that AI has saved time or energy for clients that you support?
Yeah. And ultimately, so I'm just going to paint a big picture of what's happening now. More and more people, it's been rapidly adopted, and you'll see more and more people are hopping on the bandwagon and starting to create content with it. We're going to start seeing it's easy to recognize when people are using AI in their materials. And so keep this in mind for your own stuff too. I think it's something like the percentage is 81% of people can tell when AI has written a newsletter or a brochure or something. So what I would caution is ultimately this EQ thing where you want connection with people and you're building ultimately that know and trust factor. If you start pumping out and just reusing, say you've used ChatGPT to write something, and if you take it and just use that without first taking the time to infuse your own personality, your essence, your energy, your stories, your life experiences into it, then you're going to sound like everyone else. So the first thing is actually a warning. Don't take it exactly as it is. What we need as humans, we need connection to connection. So what makes you quirky or funny or smarter or better? Those things you want to always infuse. And again, you'll be surprised how quickly your AI can pick up on those kinds of things, and it'll continue quickly to get better. But yes, as far as the time savings, it's a life changer. I used to spend a couple hours writing my newsletters, and now honestly, I can probably get one together and out in about 35 minutes. So that's down to 25% of what I originally was spending. Is that even right? I'm not good with math, so I could ask it. The math on how much time I'm saving. But I would say use it as a collaborator for all you do. And you'll be amazed at how quickly in writing things. Like another thing that's really great for is if you've got certain responses, email letters that you need to write, drafting those kinds of things, it can do that in a heartbeat. And another thing is if you've written something, so I'm a pretty good writer and I love being zesty in my newsletters, and I'll put it into ChatGPT and I'll say, how would you improve this? It could be as simple as that. And every single time it's found something to improve. Here I was just about to send it because I'm like, oh, that one was pretty good. I was inspired. I was in flow. I drop it in there and it always improves it. And so that's what I would say. It's not, yes, time savings is off the chart, what it can do, but what we can, to me, what makes this even more genius is the ability to infuse what we create with even more emotional intelligence that helps us to understand who your ideal client is, what is keeping them stuck, what are the thoughts and the beliefs and the subconscious loops that they may be playing for themselves that they now need to shift out of. So it might be creating awareness about that. They might not even understand that their lack of worthiness is keeping them from getting that promotion or starting a business or standing up as a leader in their kids' lives. The ability to really level up your communication on all levels, whether it's your marketing or any kind of communication that you're running through it, is to me the sheer game changer bit of it.
And what you're saying, that's a great place for people who are not used to using it a lot to get started and to dig in and not be afraid. And if you're doing this for business especially, you want to make sure of all the facts. However, I will say that it's not always what people think. I've actually had a family member ask me, "Did AI wrote this for you?" And I'm like, "It was a thank you note." I'm like, "I wouldn't have AI write a thank you note for me. Why would I do that? It's a little nothing." They said they thought it was because of using three adverbs in a row, or because of the, what do you call the dash, the M dash. I'm like, you know what? That's how I write. And if you're a good writer, sometimes you write like that. But so it is misleading sometimes, but you can usually tell that even mine knows me very well, and yet I still have to go in and change a few things. I have even gotten to the point where I will say, I love the humor because it will spit humor back at me, because I do that too. I don't know, I talk to it like you do. And so it will spit humor back at me. I'm like, I love the humor. Don't stop doing that. But I don't need all that extra like motivation or a pat on the back. It likes to do that a lot. I'm like, I don't need that. So it's like back and forth. But I will say there are ways. Also, I don't use just one anymore, but that's more advanced once you get into it. I found that if you use two or three different AIs, they work better together, but it's a lot of back and forth work. So guess what? I just learned how to create multi-agent system to do it. And I'm like, I've been waiting for that for a long time. And I'm like, it's too complicated. I don't want to do it. But guess what? It's not that complicated. So
It's not.
once you're in the throes of it, you learn with it, you grow with it, and it's really fine.
And
So
the ability, it's amazing to me. So you can create like GPTs for things that you do all the time. I've got a discovery session that I do, and it's always the same kind of questions that people need to put in. So I have them do that in advance. So when we hop on the call together, man, we dive right in and it goes really deep. It's an excellent way for me to get to know other people's businesses. And it's just a lifesaver, honest. Or here's another example. There was a exchange. A friend of mine, I was helping her. She was in somewhat of an emotional conversation with someone who's a narcissist. And so she was spending a lot of time trying to tiptoe around this. And so we were able to use ChatGPT and explain the situation and the sensitivities, and it completely understood the psychology of the kinds of words and how to spin the conversation. That person could hear it and receive what she was saying without putting the walls of defensiveness up. So it's trained on whatever the positive psychology and all of those different veins of information that are available to us now. It knows that. And so you can ask it and direct it saying, hey, I need some help with the EQ side of this conversation, because this is not going to land well. And
yeah,
that's a big one.
it's great for comparison when you're like, how am I going to explain the difference between this and this to make it clear to people who aren't used to that? It's really good at comparisons. Yeah, you just have
And
to.
frameworks too. So that's one of the big things that I use as marketing, writing kind of a thing. There's proven copywriting formulas. And so you can take something that's proven and say, hey, ChatGPT, like one of them would be problem, agitate, solution is a copywriting formula that's proven. And you can say, I want to do a video on emotional intelligence and AI, and let's use the standard formula. And boy, it pops it out at the click of a button. But it's fun. Or another thing that I use is there's different types of content that we should be sharing with our audience to meet them at different stages of readiness in their journey. And there's so that build the know and trust. I've got a cares framework that I've created that incorporates connection, building connection, like rapport, not accountability, the authority. So you want to be seen as an expert. So how do you spin that in a way that doesn't sound snooty or off-putting? I think a lot of times we'll avoid that because we don't want to come off as too self-aggrandizing. But ChatGPT can spin some of these things effortlessly into our conversations that we're having with our clients. The R is reframe. What are those beliefs and the objections that your people would be having to getting started? You can have it address those up front so that you don't have to have those conversations when you hop on the phone. So now you don't have to be prepared in the selling conversation of how do I overcome objections. You
Right.
built that into your copy all the way along. And then the other two are engagement, get asking questions or interactive kind of conversations, and then selling. I think all too often as solopreneurs, we like to share and serve, but we forget the asking for the business. How do you create different offers and different entry points for people who maybe don't know you? How do you get them into your world so that they can see who you are and know that they want to work more with you?
Exactly. I did that one time. I'm not going to elaborate on it, but it was like one of my very first speaking gigs. It was a local little community, and guess I did the whole thing. I thought I was great. I didn't get any throwing tomatoes. Guess what? I walked off the stage, literally off the stage, and didn't offer anything. I offered nothing. I was like, and I didn't realize it until somebody pointed. I'm like, oh my God, that never happened again. But see, sometimes you just get so wound up and you forget that you're there for a reason.
And we all do because we love the work that we do. So we're serving as, oh, wait, on
Yeah.
occasion. Not
Yeah,
all the time, certainly, but
I
yeah,
know.
it's important.
So we're building up AI to be great because we both use it a lot and we love it. So let's talk just a little bit about resistance. There are plenty of people today that are resistant to use it for a lot of different reasons. Why do you think, especially women that are healers or coaches, feel more hesitant about using AI? And also, how do you help them to reframe that fear?
Yeah. One of the biggest ones I hear is that they're afraid that their intellectual property is going to be taken and spewed. And the other thing is that privacy issue. I would say some people just don't feel safe in the world at large. And so that fear also they bring with them as they're thinking about AI. And the truth of the matter is, yes, your intellectual property is subject to being taken. And I think of it like making a cake, though. If you've got a batter that you're stirring, I'm doing chocolate, of course, but say you throw in a teaspoon of salt and you stir that in, that's what's happening with your information. It's not like somebody's going to take a spoon and spoon up and now they've got your program or your talk or your framework on the edge of their spoon. What they've got is a new conglomeration of how these pieces all came together. So it's not that somebody's going to come up with, my cares framework. And if they do, I honestly just don't care because there's so much available to us now. So I don't know if that really alleviates the fear for some people. I know that there's lawsuits about certain, and ChatGPT is not one of them, but some of the other places have taken collections of books and they trained their AI on everything on the internet, but in particular, this collection of books. And I know that there's a suit that was recently filed about that. I don't know what that's going to gain them, but it's definitely something to be aware of. So if there's something that you're wanting to hold close to your chest, then I would say don't necessarily put it out there, but it's a line that we each get to draw for ourselves. And I personally am an open door with my stuff. I share it and I would want the world to benefit from it. Picasso said there is no original idea anymore. And I believe that as well.
That's the
Yeah.
difference, like my personality, my thing, right? But I do think that the publishing world maybe has more of a claim on that kind of scared kind of tactic to be more careful because it is a slippery slope there. But when you're putting things, first of all, use your common sense. Put things out there that if the world were to find out, it's not something you care that they know about. You're not giving them your deepest, darkest secrets. You're giving them things about your personality and about your business that you want everybody to know anyway. So that, and also, by the way, I don't know, probably on all of them, but definitely on ChatGPT, there's a setting that you can turn off if you don't want it to use this for they call it, I forget what they call it, global learning or whatever they call it. It's just that for their AI system to learn, for other rather AI systems to learn from it. And if you don't want that, you can turn it off. So I'm sure the other AIs have something similar, but in the beginning, I wouldn't be so concerned with that. Some people are like that. There's some people that when you're talking to them on the phone, they're like, oh, don't say that over the phone. Listen, on the phone, I'd be more concerned with who's listening because they're listening. But with AI, it's whatever. I don't think it's as scary as people make it out to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And there definitely are some scary ramifications, the zombie land kind of a thing. And to some extent, what if that is in our control? So it really can get to know you very well. And you can even assign it a role, like have it be your business coach and say, okay, here's what I'm doing for my business, this, that, and the other thing. I got this promotion coming up, that whatever networking I'm going to, and have it say, what can I do to level up this effort? And it's not taking other people's stuff. It's analyzing based on all the information that it's been trained with. It's now going to be able to look at your particular situation and do it. So the name of the game moving forward that AI allows you to do is to personalize even deeper that experience for each one of your, whether it's people on your email list or webinar that you're going to put together. You can do more and more personalization, which ultimately helps us to become more human and more connected, oddly enough.
It does. It does. And I think we need to remember that just like everything around us, it's a tool that can be used for good and bad. A hammer can be good and bad, right? Every tool that exists can be used for good or bad. And that's human nature is going to use it for both ways, unfortunately. But we've got to do our best. That doesn't mean we're never going to use a hammer, right? We're going to use it for what we need and for the good that it can do. So I think of it the same way. I saw a podcast with Deepak Chopra, and he was saying that in his view, AI can solve every problem in the world, like everything, the wars, everything. But you have to want it to do that. You have to, and that's probably not going to happen, but according to him, it's a possibility. So you just have to be open to it. And if you really are dead set against it, you probably wouldn't be in a business that needed it, but pretty much every business needs it.
And it's being used in ways that we've been using for a year. So if you're shopping online on Amazon and it's recommending, hey, if you like that coat, here's a dozen others you might consider. Or people bought this, also looked at that. That's AI. It allows you to make connections between buying habits and that kind of thing. And that's another area that people need to it would be a fun way for you to use AI. And it's going to be more and more of a thing you'll see in the news that Google's going to start dropping in their ratings because it has for the longest time had the benefit of having about 85% of the search engine traffic, like for the last few years, without competition. 85% they had, meaning that if you're looking to buy a raincoat, you go on Google and search. But the cool thing about using AI to search is it doesn't now give you a list of the top couple pages of retailers that have that particular raincoat, but it can take it and make a synopsis out of it. So you can put in there of, hey, I'm looking for one that is water resistant and it's maroon and it's got a hood or whatever. Or I live in Seattle, so I need a extra layer of warmth or whatever you want. And it will give you recommendations based on the criteria you put into it. And it synthesizes it all to one conversation of here's the top 3 or 5 that you might want to consider. And it'll tell you the different features. Hey, this one zips or this one's got arms that come off or whatever the things are. You can have it. Think about if you're buying a car. Cars there's big investment these days. So if you're considering what are the overall costs? What are the reviews saying? What are the longer term guarantees or coverages that come with a Hyundai versus the Ford? It can compare those kinds of things, or you can put it in your lifestyle. So I'm a mountain biker and I live in Colorado. So I want something that's got higher clearance, but I also want hybrid, and so you can put in all the elements and it'll come up with options that you hadn't even considered before. And then you can have you can have the answers put into a chart. So like when I'm doing marketing content, we'll do charts, a table that has the date and day and the platform that they're doing and the description and you could even have it give you the prompt for your VA to generate the content for you. There's no end, honestly.
Do you know who knows that? Because I've been known to tell people who are in business, my people, I've been known to say, please don't use ChatGPT as a search engine. That's not what it's there for. But I don't mean to never use it. If that's all you're doing with it, you're just wasting your time. Or, well, you're not wasting your time. That's not true. But you're wasting its time, so to speak, because it could do so much more. Don't use it just for that. Even if you're not in business, if you're a mom, you want to stay, or dad, or teacher, there's teachers that are not very tech savvy, a lot of them. And you know what? If you are in any of those positions working with kids and you don't know more than how to search for something like that on ChatGPT, then you're doing a disservice to yourself and the kids around you, because those kids already know more than you. They already know more by the time they're 10 years old. Some of them, depending on your know-how, maybe even earlier. They learn it quickly, just like they learn everything quickly. And at the very least, you want to know what your kids know. You want to keep your kids safe, then you need to know what they know. And you don't want to say, don't ever use something if there's a good reason to use it. So you have to know when they should be using it, why they should be using it. I had I think it was about a year ago, my grandson, who was maybe not even 10 at the time, maybe almost 10. He was using my computer for school because something happened to I was at their house. So he was using my computer, and on the bookmark bar, it had ChatGPT, and he's like, use ChatGPT? Like it was right. I'm like, and I just looked at him like, of course. I'm like, why? What do you know about it? He knew very little. He knew it was AI. He knew something about it, but he didn't know a whole lot. I showed him one thing, and him and his younger brother, who was 7, were glued to it. All they wanted to do was create pictures. And a year ago, ChatGPT was not great at pictures, but they were able to tell it what they want and make the pictures better and better. And they did it with no help. It was like, you know what? If they could do that at 7 and 9 years old or 10, it's incredible. Moms don't know this. Parents, again, if you're in a position, let's just say you have whatever you do for work, maybe you don't work in an office, maybe you don't need to use the internet, and you have no reason to learn about it. You probably have heard about it, but the problem is that you're going to want to know about it because your kids are going to be ahead of you. And it's not that you don't want your kids to be ahead of you when they're adults, but when they're growing up, you want to know what they're doing. So you need to know at least what they know, if not a little bit more. So that's a really good reason to step in there and play around with it and see what it can and can't do. And also know that if you get into it, you can, if your kids are really into it, some kids as early as 11, 12 years old are in there creating apps for themselves and things like that with different AIs. And you can, if you are training AI long enough or playing with it long enough even, it can actually be biased, and kids aren't going to realize that. So you need to really have an adult there to supervise and know what they're doing, just like anything. I don't love kids to be on screens anyway, but there's good reasons to be there and not so good reasons. But yeah, it's important for whether you have a business or not, it's still important to learn at least the basics of AI.
And Deborah, I'd be curious to know, because it is genius at like the different kids have different learning styles, I guess we all do. And so I think it's just brilliant when you start thinking about how to support your child in the best possible way. Or even if the two of you, if you've got two different types of personalities and you find that you and your daughter just can really hit each other's buttons, you can put that into ChatGPT and it can give you like coaching around how to approach your daughter if she's becoming a rebellious teen and you've got two different personality types going on. It can help you learn to bridge the conversation. Or if your child is falling behind in math, it can help you to maybe identify different ways of presenting information that they can actually understand and absorb and work with. I just
Exactly. How many parents today say to you, I don't understand the math of today. By the time they're in fourth grade, I can't even help him with his homework. I hear parents say that all the time. And to your point about conflicting the teenage years, oh my goodness, a lot of women will confide in me that they don't want to let their friends in. They don't want to let their friends know how contentious the relationship is. So they don't sometimes have anybody to turn to. And it is a very good tool to use for that. It has great advice. So, but I definitely advise to do that with anything that you're struggling with, really. That could be a first step, maybe. And then keep on playing with it, or then ask somebody. So we touched on a little bit about emotional intelligence as well as I do. It's all about self-awareness, regulation, empathy, all the good stuff. So tell me, how can business owners, back to business, we'll go back and forth between business and moms. How can they train their AI tools to actually reflect or support those human values more than just saying, talk like me?
Yeah, I think that's exactly where we need to start when you're building a relationship before you even start asking it to give you outputs of content or marketing or whatever you're asking for. And that's what I work with people in, is exactly how to give it the context, the whole picture it needs to know to understand who you are. And you can start with things like your human design or your Myers-Briggs so that it understands how you think, how you
Mhm.
connect. And there's a free one, if you don't know those, called 16 Personalities. And it's like in 10 minutes, and it's uncanny how quickly it will nail your personal attributes and speak. But that's one of the reasons why I like ChatGPT. You can actually put your website in there. Chances are, if you've been in business for a little while, you've got all kinds of materials. So whether it's brochure, your website, a talk, like we were talking about this, you could take the transcript of our conversation here and feed that into ChatGPT and have it come up with, ask it about your values and make sure that it's reflecting. When I do this wow messaging makeover session, and the things that I have it start with their website, then I have you put in what your core values are, your vision, what's the change you want to see in the world, like why are you doing this, what got you called it, tell it the whole story. And it doesn't have to be a polished bio kind of thing. You just chat, we're having this conversation now, give it that background of, I got called into doing this. I went into life coaching because my mom had an episode having a stroke and I didn't like what was happening in the medical world. Give it all that and tell it where you live. Tell it what your pastimes are. Tell it, you can maybe hear my dog whining outside. I'm a dog person. It says a lot about who I am as an individual. And so pour all of that in, even the stuff that you think is ancillary, is the more that you can put in there that's going to illustrate your personality and the way you think and the way you connect with others, the better it's going to be. So here's the thing. So start with your why, then you want to understand your clients. You can have it create an avatar, but you can also go deeper than that and ask it about client psychographics. And this is where it starts to get juicy, because you can understand their top beliefs, their values, their objections, their fears, what keeps them up at night, those old SWOT kind of questions that you probably tried to answer before and never quite landed on. It's going to come up with some pretty darn amazing things. And from that is where that emotional intelligence piece comes, because now you're able to speak in the language that your clients are already using, the conversation that's happening in their heads. That's where you want to meet them.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, that's very good advice that I wish everybody could just clearly take a breath, think about what they're doing, and step into it with that kind of insight. It makes it so much less scary for new people. That's what I think. So listen, I know that I've been keeping you long, but we're not done yet. We have a few more things to go through, but this might be my favorite question. It is maybe a little silly. But if you could imagine the future, and we all have something in mind for the future, right? What does, let's say, an emotionally intelligent, AI empowered mom, business owner, look like 5 years from now? Now, before you even answer, 5 years is scary to me because I just told you in 3 months, it's made
Yeah.
such a big jump, right? So I'm struggling with coming up with in my own head what 5 years will look like. But tell me what you think 5 years could look like for that particular mom and what maybe she's doing differently than what we today know as the regular hustle culture model.
Yeah. I think you're spot on in saying that 5 years is hard for anybody, even Elon Musk, to figure out what that's really going to be looking like. But the thing that I can tell you, even a year from now, for much better our lives, especially as busy business owners, AI is can essentially become like your employees. Like you said earlier, that you create an AI agent that's able to string together. So there's apps that do these individual things. We'll be able to kind of lace those together, if you will, stitch those together, and it can become it's going to up level everything. It's going to allow you to be ever ready, like the pop-up customer service kind of lines on websites. The ability of those things to be trained on how you would handle a conversation if you've got a phone call or an email inquiry. You can train it so the customer service is going to be leveled up because it works 24/7. So if somebody's a night owl, which I'm not, I'm virtually there to answer their questions right away. So you're not going to lose that lead because they went to someone else because they didn't hear from you till the next morning. But everything from customer service to outreach to fulfillment to it's like having a virtual assistant and maybe many of them, but being able to streamline like content creation so that you can get your message out to the world in a bigger way, more efficiently, so that you've got bandwidth, whether you spend that extra time with your family or you choose to spend it. I think it's going to be increasingly important for us to take that personal time, that self nourishment time to stay in our zone of genius. I think that those grounding things, and then the ability of just think of, I know a lot of people who struggle to meditate, and AI can help understand who you are and match you up with the right techniques or the thoughts or whatever it is, the approaches that can help you ground better so that you're showing up better for your friends and family and your business. Like on every possible level, it's going to make life easier and potentially richer.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that is one of the things that people are struggling with now when they start a business. They're like, it's just so much stuff to do that they run out of time in the day. And you're telling them to focus. And they're like, I can't focus. I have to get back to this and back to that's, what we just call it. You're in the weeds. Get out of the weeds, get out of there as soon as you can. I know in the beginning, it's inevitable. You have to do everything yourself. A lot of people they have no other choice. But as soon as you're able to even just take one thing off your plate, then do it. It used to be you had to hire a VA. You can now hire AI for probably no money. You can actually train an AI to do this one task, maybe these three tasks that are not essential for moving your business forward, but they have to be done. But simple things like you're talking about. So that is really where it's going to be so much easier for people to start their business and be successful, move forward faster.
Yeah.
That's what.
And it's interesting. I think some of the futurists are talking about how soon will it be when we see the first one person $1 billion company? It's possible with all the automation that they're going to be able to pull together.
It is possible. Oh, Kathy, do you have time for a few rapid fire? Yes?
You bet.
Okay.
This is my joy. So you're just
Okay.
making my day.
I love the rapid fire. I live for that. I don't know why. I'm going to come up with a better name for it though. Okay, so first question, I have 5 questions. What's the one AI tool that you cannot live without right now, personally yourself,
It's ChatGPT, hands down.
without a doubt? What is your go-to reset? And this is not necessarily AI, but your go-to energy reset when you have an off day?
It's nature. Also, hands down. I'm a mountain biker, so sometimes mountain biking in nature. But
Okay, good.
yeah.
Good answer. Okay, if you were a new business owner starting out with an AI virtual assistant, what maybe quirky name or not would you give it? And also, what is the very first task you'd ask it to do?
A name, I don't know. Name that popped to mind is Penelope. I don't know why.
Okay.
The first task I would have it do is to help me write a business plan and show me how the I want a plan to know how it is that I make money. And I want to understand the costs. I want to know how it all works. I think all too many people are out there coaching. They're trying to generate the business without really having a plan from beginning to end of where the money comes from.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So many people say, I want to start this business. And this, I'm like, do you have any kind of plan? No, they don't. So many people are in that spot. They don't think of it that way. It's not like a brick and mortar. So they're intelligent people. They just don't realize that you still need a business plan, right? It's still
Yeah.
whatever.
If you want to be sustainable and still be doing this 5 and 10 years down the line, there's got to be enough financial sustenance and ideally enough overage that you get to take that time off and have the family time and go on the trips. Factor all of that in from the get-go. When you're doing your calendar, the very first things that you want to do is make sure that you've got your you time. When are you working out? When are the kid nights? When are the kids up doing track? Like those important, like the big rocks, put those big rocks in first and then let the other things take care of themselves. But the plan, it starts right there.
I try very hard to push my people to start with a morning routine, but I do get resistance on that. But I feel really strongly about that, but that's another episode. Okay, how about personally, what's one book that every woman entrepreneur must read?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Oh, I'm such an old timer. To me, the Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so much of our success really starts with mindset, and I would say 80%, but I think it's 95% is really what's happening in our heads.
I agree with that. Okay, last question. What is the most emotionally intelligent thing that your computer has accidentally done for you?
Accidentally done for me.
I can give you an example if that's not clear, but if it is, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know yours. The thing that I love about it, and it's funny because you said that it goes a little bit too much overboard. That lately it's been saying, oh, that's a great idea. So there's a affirmative kind of a
Mhm.
thing. Being a solopreneur, it can be lonely and you don't get a little pat on the back from anyone you're working with because there
Yeah.
is no one. So it's fun to me for it to have these little things like, oh, way to go. So I'll share with it little
Yeah.
celebrations of, hey, that client I told you about, where you just landed, she'll be starting next week, and I want to write this letter. And it'll say, oh, congratulations on the new person or something. I personally like that, but, and I think it's also going a little overboard. And you can teach it how much
You
it works
can.
for you and
Yeah.
how much it doesn't. But for me, it's a nice little, oh, yeah, that I think all too often we don't take time because there's, like you said, there's so much we're juggling all the time that we don't take time to celebrate the wins, which is so important. And I think ChatGPT makes me stop for a moment and say, "Oh yeah, that's a score."
No, that is true. And I said that, but I still enjoy when it does say nice things to me. And if it goes too long without, then I wonder what's going on. So it's one of those, it's a give and take. I think at one point I just was laughing so hard. And sometimes I'll say, I am literally laughing out loud. I will tell it what I'm doing. And it's because it would tell me, oh, you're going to, I don't know, whatever idea it is, oh, you're going to be just as good as so and even better. And it's like some famous, enormous person that, like, come on, or like that's a little over the top. But it still made me laugh. So it was fine. But anyway, so mine was actually just the computer. My computer is very old, and so it freezes often. But this particular time, not so long ago, I had come back from Georgia and I had a lot to do. I was working on it straight. I try to give myself breaks because I know I need them. But I was 5 hours straight on this computer. I just had that much to get caught up on, and the thing froze. And it froze in a way where you couldn't alt delete, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't even close it down correctly. I'm like, oh, I literally had to like just unplug it. And I'm like, I was so frustrated right up to here. But of course, because of what we do, I took a breath and I realized right away that, you know what? I needed a break. I needed desperately a break. It was way too long. And while it was like coming back on, I just walked away and gave myself a 10-minute break. Like, you have to do that. And I probably wouldn't have. I would have just struggled for another couple hours. So sometimes I don't know if that's really the computer knowing, if it's the universe, if it's God, if it's AI, I don't know. But somehow something did something to make that happen.
I love it.
So anyway. Okay. So Kathy, before we go to your slide, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to talk about?
I think we've hit on a lot of things, but I would just like to reinforce the invitation for those people who've maybe been sitting on the sidelines just to wade in there and to start playing with it, because what you'll find is how easy and conversational it is. So expand that. And for the people who are already dabbling with it, I would say take the time to go even deeper with it. Let it know a little bit more about who you are, a little bit more about your clients, and just play and see how amazing the output can be when it really, you take that extra time to educate it.
Yes, very good advice, as usual. I'm going to put your slide up and let you tell everybody where they could find out more about you. And there it is.
Hey, there I am. All right. So I've got a Linktree link that is the gateway where it's easy for you to find all the different things that I've got coming up. I like to do webinars. I do those pretty much monthly, and it's a great place to check in. I've got a free, I call it Authentic AI, writing your, I think it's a monthly content planner, and that's for free. So dive in there. That tells you the different types of content that you'll need in order to connect deeply with your clients and get them moving towards that yes. So that freebie's on there. You'll find the webinars. You'll find, I've got a wow session. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things to do. The wow session is something that you can dive in there, answer 4 questions like we've been talking about, give it your website, who you are, who your clients are, and the change you want to see in the world. And then together we do this messaging makeover session, and it'll knock your socks off. That's always my intention. We do it 30 minutes, and for just $37, you'll come away with, it articulates the nature of what you're here to do in a way that's probably better than you've landed on ever. And you'll walk away with 4 different ways of introducing yourself at networkings. So that's a nice quick win right there. So
that sounds great. Just to clarify for people, one thing on here is a paid offer and one is a freebie. Can you just clarify that?
Yes. So the freebie is something that you can grab from that. Both of them are accessible from that Linktree link. The freebie is called Authentic AI. Can't remember the exact name, but it's essentially a content planner that helps you with prompts on what to tell your AI in order to get this deeper conversation that we're talking about. But it also gives you the different kinds of content types that you want to put into the mix. And this is one of the biggest things I see missing from people who are getting, I think one of the big traps is that people are creating a lot of content now, but they're not seeing people engaging with it. And so that freebie addresses that problem. So 5 reasons why your content's not converting, and here's 5 different types of content to make sure that you're putting into the blend so that they do.
Okay, that's clear. That sounds great. Thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah.
This has been so wonderful.
Cool.
And we could just keep talking. So maybe
I'm telling you, we could talk.
people might be tired of us. We'll just keep talking. But maybe another time we'll hop on and do something a little different. So that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share clearly my passion with this, and just the possibilities are endless. So like you said, we could talk.
Thank you. It's so much energy, so much value to everyone. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. That's it, folks. Thanks for joining us on Family, Business, and Beyond. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and make a bigger impact. Remember to follow us on social media for more tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes content. And don't forget to check out our online courses and webinars to continue your journey of empowerment and growth. Stay inspired, cast aside the doubt, let your dreams shout. Keep embracing the joy within and pursuing your passions. This is Deborah Kane. Until next time. That's it, folks. Thanks for joining us on Family, Business, and Beyond. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and make a bigger impact. Remember to follow us on social media for more tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes content. And don't forget to check out our online courses and webinars to continue your journey of empowerment and growth. Stay inspired, cast aside the doubt, let your dreams shout. Until next time, keep embracing the joy within and pursuing your passions. This is Deborah Kane, signing off.